Everyone evolves their Pokemon. It's arguably the best part about the series games. Seeing your little guy reach his final form, taking you all the way to the champion. But what if you couldn't? No second stages, no final forms, only unevolved Pokemon. I am doing this as a hardcore Nuzlocke in Fire Red. Here are the rules. No evolving or catching evolved Pokemon. If a Pokemon dies, they're gone forever. Pause to read the rest. I start off by naming myself Centile and my rival Evolved. We both spawn in Pallet Town, where Professor Oak gives me the usual 3 starter options. I lock in Bulbasaur, naming him Coda. He'll carry us through the first 2 gyms, Rock and Water. Plus, by picking Bulbasaur, I forced Evolve to take Charmander, which is going to help us out a ton later on. After being evolved and grabbing my Pokeballs, I head to Route 1 to catch a Rattata named Tins. On Route 2, I get a Pidgey named Pedro, and on Route 22, I catch a Mankey named Lucha. In Viridian Forest, I pick up a Weedle named Bug, and finally arrive in Pewter City, ready for the first gym. It's a massacre. Coda sweeps Brock's whole team and bags us the first and probably easiest badge of the game. I head to Route 3 and pick up a Spearow named foreshadowing, then dive into Mount Moon for a crucial encounter. I need a Geodude. He's the perfect counter to Evolve's Pidgeotto and Charmander, and he'll handle the electric gym too. Thankfully, I find one and name him Eddie. After wading through a horde of Zubats, I grab the Dome Fossil and make it to Route 4, where I catch an Ekans named Ross. Reaching Cerulean City, Evolve challenges me to a battle. He leads with Pidgeotto, and I send in Eddie, who takes him out of 2 rock throws. For whatever reason, Evolve sends out Charmander next. Eddie wipes him out with 2 magnitudes. Abra and Rattata follow suit, giving Eddie the sweep and showing why he's so valuable to the team. Before taking on Misty, I head to Bill's house and run into Trainer Kelsey, who has a Nidoran. Forgetting he has double kick, I switch into Tins, who gets critted. My first death of the run. Goodbye, Tins. You did absolutely nothing for the team. I pick up the SSN ticket and start catching more Pokemon. On Route 5, I get a Meowth named IRS, foreshadowing, and Route 6 gives me an Oddish named Bart. Reaching Vermilion City, I go to his house where a girl offers her Farfetch'd for my Spearow. His stats aren't great, but compared to the rest of my team, he's an upgrade. This gives us our first core team member. Greetings and salutations, Chiding. I also pick up a Drowsy named Epstein on Route 11, and in Diglett's cave, I catch, well, a Diglett named Sussy. Back in Cerulean, I head to Route 24 and catch a Caterpie. I name it Bug with a period. All this setup leads me to a guaranteed Abra encounter on Route 25, thanks to Catch Clause. Now, Abra might seem pretty useless with its abysmal stat line, but there's a special little trade I can make, one that gets me this guy, Mr. Mime. Oh. Guys, grab a chair. We need to talk. Yes, technically Mr. Mime is an evolved form of Mime Jr., but that didn't happen until Generation 4, when they started adding a bunch of pre-evolutions. Fire Red is a Gen 3 game. Back then, Mime Jr. didn't even exist, so if I were doing this challenge right when Fire Red came out, Mr. Mime would still count as unevolved. I think that's fair, but if you disagree, let me know and tell me why. Either way, I make the trade and lock in my second core team member. Let's take on Misty. She leads with Staryu and I send in Bart. Bart handles it easily. 2 absorbs and Staryu goes down. Starmie comes out next and hits me with a Swift that does decent damage. I go for Stun Spore but miss, and Starmie hits another Swift, putting Bart in crit range. I try Stun Spore again, this time it lands. I go for Absorb, but Starmie lands another Swift, so I switch into Coda. Coda hits a Razor Leaf, dropping Starmie to the red, but she uses Recover, bringing it back above half. I go for another Razor Leaf, thinking it's over, but she survives on 1 HP. She pops a Super Potion, but I just fire off 2 more Razor Leaves and secure the win. Second badge down. I head over to the SSN to take on Evolved. He leads with Pidgeotto and I send in Eddie. 2 Rock Throws later and it's down. Next is Charmeleon, and after a back and forth, I take it off Magnitude. Kadabra comes in, so I swap to Epstein. He tanks a Confusion, lands a Headbutt, but then gets disabled. Kadabra hits another Confusion and confuses me, but Epstein still lands his own Confusion. Not enough damage though, so I switch to Chiding. Chiding takes heavy damage from Confusion, but manages to finish the job with Peck. Evolve's last Pokemon comes out, and I send Eddie back in. He tanks multiple Hyper Fangs like a champ and knocks it off Magnitude, once again proving why Eddie is the GOAT. We pick up Cut and head off to challenge Lieutenant Surge. Surge leads with Voltorb, and I send in Sussy. She makes quick work of it, 1 Magnitude and it's out. Pikachu comes in next, and Sussy lands another one-shot. Surge's final Pokemon, Raichu, hits a nasty quick attack while my Magnitude is weak, so I swap to the GOAT Eddie. He does what he does best, 1 Magnitude, and Raichu is gone, securing the 3rd badge. On the way to Rock Tunnel, I catch a Voltorb named Ball and a Zubat named Perps. I make sure to grab Flash so I don't have to deal with his awful cave. Unfortunately, beloved Lucha the Mankey dies to a Graveler, making our second loss of the run. I vow to never lose another Pokemon in Lucha's name. I reach Lavender Town and head towards Celadon, catching a Growlithe named Mimi on the way. Arriving in Celadon, I head straight for the game corner. Now, I hate gambling. It's too complicated, and I've tried reading Reddit how-tos, but I just can't seem to win. So before making the trip down here, I took IRS out to the fields and had him tax every Pokemon in sight. You can call me The government. With all that money, I buy the coins and pick up a cipher, the third core member of the team. You shall be named Finger. With my new cipher, I head to the 4th gym and sweep Erica. Wing attack after wing attack after wing attack, and I get the 4th gym badge. I deal with Team Rocket and head to Pokemon Tower, where I take on Evolved again. Eddie does what he does best, takes out Pidgeotto with Rock Throw and Charmeleon with Magnitude. I swap to Finger for Execute, and he one-shots with Wing Attack. Kadabra meets the same fate. Gyarados is Evolved's last Pokemon, but Finger's so overleveled it's not even a match. After clearing out Team Rocket again, I pick up the Pokeflute and finally get my 4th core team member, Snorlax. Oh, come on. Look, he's a Gen 4 Pokemon. Let's be real. He didn't exist back when Fire Red came out. So let's make a deal. I won't use Electabuzz or the Hitmons, since they became evolved Pokemon in Gen 2. Sounds fair? Good. I catch the Snorlax and name him Buford. Before pushing forward, I knock out a few side quests, grab Fly, head back to Celadon for the bike, hit the Safari Zone for Surf, and stop by the Pokemon Center in front of Rock Tunnel to pick up the beloved Everstone. I make my way for Team Rocket's hideout and take on Evolved. He starts off with his new Pidgeot, while I bring in the Go Eddie. Pidgeot hits Eddie with a wing attack doing chip damage, and Eddie brings him down to half with Rock Throw. Another wing attack, but Eddie gets the KO. Execute's up next, so I switch to Chiding, who immediately gets paralyzed, then confused by confusion. I try to go for Fly, but Chiding hits himself, takes another confusion, and hits himself again, making me switch out to Finger, who also gets hit by confusion, causing him to be confused. He still lands wing attack, but Execute barely survives and hits a stun spore. Another confusion lands, and Finger loses a turn to paralysis. Execute lands yet another confusion, but Finger finally pulls through and gets to KO. Charizard comes out next, so I switch to Buford, tank Flamethrower with Thick Bat. He gets hit by a wing attack and goes for Yawn. Wing attack does too much, so I use Rest as Charizard falls asleep. I roll Sleep Talk and hit Body Slam for half, but Charizard wakes up and keeps spamming Wing Attack. Another Sleep Talk uses Yawn, but then wastes a turn as Buford wakes up. Charizard falls asleep again, and I finally finish off with Body Slam. His Gyarados is up, so I swap to Eddie expecting Thrash, but he gets hit by 2 bites and flinches, so I go back to Buford. Gyarados lands a Dragon Rage and Bite, but I use Rest to heal back up. Sleep Talk lands Body Slam, doing about 2/3. Gyarados tries Bite again, but another Sleep Talk Body Slam finishes the job. His final Pokemon's Alakazam. It uses Calm Mind to boost special attack and defense, but I predict the Wake Up, use Body Slam, and take the win. That fight had no business being that tough. My team needs some serious upgrades if we want a shot at the Elite Four. Thankfully, I just do that by getting a gifted Lapras who I name Hope. I take on Giovanni, who's a breeze as always, and head to Fuchsia City to fight Koga. He starts with Coughing, and I send in my man. He one-shots the Coughing, 2 shots his Muck, 1 shots the other Coughing, and 1 shots his Ace Wheezing for the clean sweep and 5th badge. I head back to Saffron to challenge Sabrina. She leads with Kadabra, so I send in Buford to use Yawn, then swap to Finger. I set up Double Team 6 times and Swords Dance twice, taking a few hits from Future Sight in the process. Finger proceeds to wipe Sabrina's entire team, securing the 6th badge. Reaching Cinnabar Island, I head to the lab, not for Kabuto, but Aerodactyl. Earlier, I went back to Palatown to pick up the old Amber. I hand it to a doctor, and he revives Aerodactyl, giving us the final core member of the team. Unfortunately, to make room, I have to box Eddie the Goat. You've done more for this team than Chiding. Welcome to the team, Ruby. I grab the secret key from the Pokemon Mansion and head to the 7th gym to take on Blaine. He leads with Growlithe, and I send out Ruby. I use Ancient Power for the easy KO, and Arcanine comes in next. Thanks to 2 Intimidates, I can't take it down in 2 hits, so I resort to Wing Attacks while Blaine keeps spamming Fire Blast. I don't take much damage, so I stay in and hit another Wing Attack while he misses a Fire Blast. I finish him off with Ancient Power. Ponyta is up next. I go for Ancient Power, but it survives, of course. Thankfully, I get the Omni Boost, raising all my stats and letting me tank the next Fire Blast. Blaine heals, but with the boost, I one-shot Ponyta. Rapidash is last, and I'm out of Ancient Powers, so I spam Wing Attack until it goes down. 7th badge secured. I leave the gym, but Bill tries asking me to go to his island, like I'm some weirdo who owns a Pokemon named Epstein. I say no, and head straight to Viridian City for the 8th gym, Giovanni. He leads with a Rhyhorn, so I send out Hope. 1 Surf wipes it out. Another Rhyhorn comes in. Okay. This is his ace? You sure? Alright. Another Surf, another one-shot. I'm starting to wonder if Giovanni's also doing a no-evolve Pokemon challenge. Nidoqueen is next, better, and she goes for Earthquake, but does nothing. Hope one-shots her with Surf. Then comes out her ugly husband, Nidoking, who apparently shares the same brain and also uses Earthquake. Hope tanks it and sends him back to his honeymoon. Giovanni's last Pokemon is Dugtrio. I swap to Ruby just in case Hope gets critted. Dugtrio uses Earthquake, but Ruby's a flying type, so she's chillin'. Ruby fires off a Hyper Beam, finishes off Dugtrio, and we secure the 8th and final badge. On my way to victory Victory Road, I run into Evolved. He challenges me, bringing in none other than Pidgeot. My Ancient Power takes Pidgeot down to the red, while his Wing Attack does nothing. Another Ancient Power finishes him off, bringing in Gyarados. His Intimidate lowers my attack, so Ancient Power doesn't even do half. He sets up Rain Dance, and I swap to Buford, expecting a Hydro Pump. He lands it, but it doesn't do much. He hits another, but I go for Body Slam and finish him off. Charizard's next, so I bring Ruby back in. She tanks the Wing Attack and fires off an Ancient Power, landing the one-shot. Rhyhorn comes out, but I pivot to Hope, Surf, and it's gone. Execute's up next, another one-shot. Alakazam's his last Pokemon, but it follows just the same. This team is Elite Four ready. Well, not quite. I head toward Victory Road, grab Dragon Claw once inside, and breeze through the cave, avoiding all the trainers. I make it to the other side, entering the Indigo Plateau. Before taking on the Elite Four, I need to prep. I'm low on cash, so I take IRS out to the fields again and buy a bunch of TMs at the game corner. Now I'm ready. Here's the final team. Mimian with Psychic, Thunderbolt, Magical Leaf, and Reflect. Finger of Slash, Swords Dance, Wing Attack, and Double Team. Buford with Body Slam, Yawn, Rest, and Flamethrower. Chiding with Fly, Sand Attack, Slash, and Swords Dance. Hope with Surf, Ice Beam, Confuse Ray, and Perish Song. Ruby with Ancient Power, Wing Attack, Hyper Beam, and Supersonic. I enter the Elite Four and take on the first member, Lorelei. She leads with Dugong, and I send in Mimian doing Thunderbolt, which does over half. Dugong sets up Hail, but another Thunderbolt finishes it off. She sends out her ace, Lapras, so I keep spamming Thunderbolt. Lapras gets paralyzed and loses a turn. I go for Magical Leap to prevent her from using a full restore, but it just triggers Lapras' Citrus Berry. Lapras stays paralyzed, so I go for Thunderbolt again, thinking I'll get the KO. But she survives on 1 HP, and Lorelei uses a full restore. I throw another Thunderbolt, then Magical Leap, but she lands a Body Slam, and paralyzes Mimian in return. I swap into Buford, who tanks a Body Slam and a crit Surf. Buford firebacks with his own Body Slam and takes out this cruel Lapras. Cloyster comes in next, sets up Spikes, and Buford goes for Yawn. She sets up Hail again, and I hit Flamethrower, doing almost half. Cloyster falls asleep, so I switch to Finger to set up Double Teams and Swords Dances, while Cloyster just sits there wasting turns. Finger lands a Slash and one-shots Cloyster. Slowbro's next, and Wing Attack puts her in the red, triggering a heal. Another Wing Attack drops her back to red, but she yawns me, so I swap into Hope and take Spike damage. Slowbro weirdly yawns again, even though Finger was already asleep. Hope uses Surf and gets the KO. Last is Jinx, and of course, Hope falls asleep from yawn. Jinx goes for Attract, and this next sequence is the worst. Hope stays asleep, Jinx hits Ice Punch, Hope wakes up, but of course he's in love. Jinx uses Lovely Kiss, and I'm right back to sleep. She spams Ice Punch while I sleep for 4 turns, finally wake up still in love. Another Lovely Kiss, 70% accuracy by the way, lands again. 2 more Ice Punches before I wake up, still in love. Hope, please hit Perish Song already. Jinx is not a baddie. Another Ice Punch flurry, and of course she gets a crit, putting me into red. I stay in because I'm stubborn, take 1 more Ice Punch. Hope finally wakes up and finally lands Perish Song. Perish Song ticks down, so I swap into Snorlax to stall it out, but Jinx puts him to sleep twice with Lovely Kiss. She landed 5 Lovely Kisses in a row. What are the odds? Finally, Jinx counter hits 0 and I beat Lorelei. That sucked. Bruno's up next and should be far easier to handle. He starts with Onix and I bring in Mimian. He one-shots the Onix with Magical Leap, one-shots Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan with Psychic, Magical Leap on the other Onix, and 2 shots Machamp. Embarrassing, Bruno, embarrassing. Next is Agatha, who starts with Gengar and I use none other than Mimian. I'm not going to waste your time. He one-shotted every single Pokemon of Psychic, making Bruno look at least somewhat competent. Hang up the gloves, Grandma. Go enjoy retirement. You ain't made out for this. The last Elite Four member is Lance, and he should be a tougher challenge. He starts with Gyarados, so I send out Mimian. I told you this guy'd be a powerhouse. Thunderbolt one-shots Gyarados. Next, Lance sends in Aerodactyl. It hits an Ancient Power, but I hit it back with Thunderbolt, bringing it close to red. I swap to Ruby, and her aura makes Aerodactyl miss Hyper Beam. Ruby finishes it with Ancient Power. Dragonair comes in, so I hit it with Dragon Claw, dropping it to half. It fires off Outrage, but another Dragon Claw takes it down. Ruby does the same to the other Dragonair. Last is Lance's ace, Dragonite. I switch to Hope, tank 2 Outrages, and finish it with Ice Beam, beating the final Elite Four member. All that's left is my rival, Evolved. Time to show him why unevolved Pokemon are far superior. He starts off with Pidgeot, and I send in my MVP, Mimian. Thunderbolt does massive damage, and Pidgeot gets paralyzed. Another Thunderbolt finishes this stupid bird for good. Evolved with an IQ lower than the number of badges I have, sends out Gyarados. Mimian uses Thunderbolt again. Gyarados faints. His ace Charizard is next, so I swap to Ruby, who tanks a Fire Blast and fires off Ancient Power, taking down the worst starter option. Rhydon comes out, so I switch to Hope. He takes a Rock Tomb, but one-shots Rhydon with Surf. Exeggutor is up, so I give Chiding a second chance. Exeggutor sets up Light Screen, and Chiding goes for Fly, lands it, dropping Exeggutor to half. Chiding dodges an Egg Bomb, hits another Fly, and gets the KO with a crit. Not bad, kid. not bad. Evolved's last Pokemon is Alakazam. I bring in Snorlax to finish it off with a Body Slam, ending our battle and proving unevolved Pokemon reign supreme. Professor Oak shows up, clowns his nephew for using evolved Pokemon, and inducts my unevolved team into the Hall of Fame, making me the champion of Kanto. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is a lot easier than I expected, but I still had a ton of fun using Pokemon I normally wouldn't. If you got harder challenges for me, let me know. Or should I run this back in a different game like Platinum? If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe for more upcoming Pokemon challenges. Or don't. Until next time.